Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. And today's video is from a request from Praise the Lord 4222. So thanks for reaching out with questions. So we're going to talk about saddles, the differences for horses versus donkeys, and then trail riding. So when I'm trail riding, we're going to start with that. When I'm trail riding, there's not too much that's different. I heard that a donkey will go and then just stop because they're tired. Now, I brought Seamus to Arizona with my aunts and my daughter to go riding, and I didn't know how he was going to be because we did longer rides than he's ever done before. So we rode, I think the longest was like 10 miles in one day, and we rode 8 to 10 miles each day that we rode, and we were there for close to a week. Seamus never stopped. He never stopped because he was tired. He wasn't always as fast as the horses that we were with, but he did do a great job of doing a pretty good job of keeping up with them. Seamus has been trained to go on walks and go do things on his own. So if they got ahead of us, Seamus didn't care. I haven't taken the wilds yet on trail rides, but some of them are really, really close. So if you have helped your donkey be confident and comfortable just with you and the other animals are ahead, that's going to be really similar to a horse. If they don't care where the horses or the other animals that you're riding with are, it's going to make things really easy, but that's a taught behavior. So to teach that to Seamus, I started off with walking him with my dog. So the dog and Seamus and I would all go on a walk. We would just walk around the block, and I guess, you know, where we live, a block could be 3 miles or so, or sometimes 5 miles or 8 miles. We just go on a walk. And at first that was hard for Seamus. When I first started, we would have trouble just getting out of the driveway. And eventually we could go a little bit further. So there was times I would come in and I'm like, I don't know how to get this donkey to move. So if you guys have been there, I've been there with you. I don't know always how to get my donkey to move, right? So I would use oats as a reward. I would use a flag, and we would just go a little at a time, what he was able to offer to me. So we did this for a long time, Seamus and I. And then when we did the trail ride, he was marvelous. Every time we go on a trail ride, typically he's faster than my horse when we leave and slower than the horse when we come home. And I'm guessing there's a little combination. The horse is faster on the way home. And Seamus doesn't want to come home. He wants to stay out on the trail ride because he finds it fun. So when you're out and you're going to trail ride, are there things that are different? Donkeys typically don't respond as dramatically as a horse. Okay, there's always going to be some exceptions to the rule, but typically donkeys are much more calm than a horse with their responses to anything that's fearful to them. So normally you don't get the bucking or the rearing or the bolting. If Seamus gets afraid, he'll jump over a couple steps. Now there's always going to be exceptions to the rules. Honk the donk, she's a lot more forward than the other donkeys. But we're going to do all of our groundwork to help them really respond well to what we're asking. So they're going to know how to move all 4 legs when we ask. And then the goal is to be able to keep them with us. And we're going to progressively go up to bigger things. So with the wilds, the 3 wilds, Grace, Valhalla, and Ah. Well, Ah, not as much yet, but she's going to be starting soon. So Grace and Valhalla and Honk. All 3 of those guys now have been rode in the wild pen. They've been rode in our 3/4 acre pasture, or dry lot really, and then our 2 acre pasture. Now all 3 of those have also gone to the riding club that we belong to. So it's all horses, guys. I'm the only one there with donkeys, and we've gone there. We've done trail clinics there, just one trail clinic. And then we have followed around with cows. I've done that with Grace and Valhalla. And unfortunately, I don't have very much in the way of videos for that. I got a couple little ones that I'll be posting later on. And we were doing that for Valhalla to help her gain confidence. Valhalla is a little bit more timid, where Grace is very brave and willing to do anything. She's just not fearful. Now, does that mean like she's just gonna rock it when we go do a new thing? No, because if she hasn't done that new thing yet, it's gonna take her some time to get comfortable and confident doing something new. So be patient with your donkeys. You're not going to scare them into doing anything. You know, like maybe if a horse is not wanting to move for you, you could maybe swing a rope or make some loud noises and you might get them to go. That's not how you're going to get a donkey to go. You're not going to scare them or force them to do anything. It has to be their idea. So maybe that's the biggest difference, is you need to help them come up with an idea. And just keep watching the videos, guys, because that's what we're doing all the time with these donkeys that we're training. I have The three, Grace, Valhalla, and Ah, and then Honk and Daphne are all being started under saddle right now. And on Friday, we're going to an auction, or pardon me, on Saturday, we're going to go to an auction, and then I'm going to be bringing home 4 more, and then I got to choose which 2 I'm going to sell and find a forever home for. And that's going to be a hard decision because I love them all so very much. So stay tuned, guys. Keep watching and have fun with your donkeys. And next up is going to be the different saddle information and what I use for my saddles. And then I'm going to put links in. So look in the description for the links to the stuff that I use. Thanks for requesting this video. And you guys all have a great day. Keep watching for the saddle information. Okay, so we're going to talk about saddles some. I'll make a couple different parts in this so we can talk about some different saddles. So the saddle pad, you want it to be about the right size, you know, for their back. So like what I use on my horse, it's much longer. It would be just overkill, too much. This setup here is a Steve Edwards saddle. And I also just ordered a special one, a custom one from REED VEIT, V-E-I-T, out of Montana here. So with the saddle, we got a few different things with donkeys. You know, their back is flat, so there's nothing there to stop it from going forward. Because there's nothing to stop it from going forward, I use a britchin. This here is the britchin. This one is made out of some kind of synthetic, so it doesn't need very much maintenance. But the britchin's job is to keep the saddle from sliding forward. Okay. You can also use a crooper, and a crooper, be real careful with their tail when you move it. And if you forget, they'll move it. She's kind of stiff back here right now. So when you're using a crooper, it actually goes underneath their tail, and then it comes up here and it connects. I prefer to use a britchin when I'm doing stuff, but I also live in the mountains, so we have more up and down. This here is a breast collar, and something to remember with donkeys. Got horse donkey fur in my mouth. Their shoulders go up and down. So when you are putting that saddle on, you want the saddle to be behind their shoulders, because we don't want the up and down of the shoulders to be hitting the saddle. Okay. And the next thing I use are cinches. These are the cinches. These are also Steve Edwards cinches. Okay. And again, I just ordered a custom one from REED VEIT. I'm very excited to get it. He's right here, local in Montana. Okay, so when you're putting the cinches on, you want there to be close to a hand width between the front shoulder and the cinch. Okay, again, that's helping to keep it behind their shoulders. You can come over here to this side, Thomas, for a second. Thomas is our videographer today. Okay, so my husband taught me this trick. When you're working with the britchin, you don't have to undo it every time. You get it set up for the right length, and you can just leave it there. But when you're securing your cinch, you just want to make sure that you go underneath this here, so it's not in the way. Oh, here's something else on the other side that we'll show them, Thomas. I'm sure this isn't the correct thing, but you want to have a strap here to keep these from sliding too far back. You don't want this back cinch to be way back here. Their ribs back here could be at risk, and we don't want to create a bucking animal. Now, I know that Steve says to tighten up the back cinch more than the front. Not everybody does it that way. I do follow his directions for his saddles. And I don't know what I'll do when I get the new saddle. I don't know yet. Now, the bars in this are flat, so you see it doesn't rock. If you were to put a horse saddle on there, this here would rock. And sometimes it can be a good way to test it without the pad on. It can be easier to see. Okay, so when I'm cinching, I get the cinch on just tight enough to hold it there. So you see I didn't make it real tight. And that's because I don't want to create a cinchy animal. Okay, I think these are called the latigo straps. I'm not real good with that stuff. It's a saddle. So I'm just gonna get this on, and then I'm gonna come to the front. The next thing we'll do is her breast collar. So if you guys think about this, the britchin, you see how it's pulling it back? So if we're going down a mountain or going down a hill, the saddle's not gonna slide forward up onto her neck. And the breast collar does the opposite. If you're going up a hill, the breast collar is gonna keep it from sliding back. I use both, the britchin and the breast collar. Now, when I'm just starting off, like if you look at Honk over here, Thomas, Honk doesn't have her britchin on yet. Okay, Honk does have more of a sway in her back. So this is also a Steve Edwards saddle. But again, I just got that new one ordered from REED, so I'll put the information in the description. But she'll start riding with a britchin, but right now we're just riding on flat ground, so I'm not too worried about it yet. And the saddle hasn't moved while we've been riding. So here I just get it on, so it's not too tight. And then here the breast collar. So the way Steve has his breast collar set up, it has this loop here. This is twisted. And then it just straps here, and then this middle part here, it straps underneath to the cinch. So there's a spot, and you're gonna know that you have the cinch in the right spot because it goes in the middle, okay, once it's all tightened. And then the last thing for her is the bridle, and I'll go grab that quick. So this here is the bridle. It's a snaffle. This has a T-bar, and I'll put a link for this too where I got them. And then you're gonna wanna use a curb strap or chin strap with it. And so this is the tack that I use. And I'll add on a little bit more of some stuff that does not work for them. Grace, and we have Grace in the box. She was too afraid to do this the first time we ever tried it. But when you come back to things, they get better. There's one more thing I just thought of. With a donkey, you're not gonna force them to do anything. So I was riding with Seamus in Arizona on that trail ride, and Seamus didn't want to cross through water, and it was really a very, very scary spot for him to cross for the first time with water. Well, it was his second event crossing. He had done some at home before we went to Arizona, but the situation that we were in was that on one side there was like tree or a boulder, and then on the other side there was a boulder, and then the water was about knee deep, and it was really, really dark. And I kept trying to get Seamus to go past over and over, and I would turn him and go to a different spot and then try to get him to go again, and he just was not having it. So I got a tree branch, and I tried to encourage him by waving the tree branch. Eventually what he did was he jumped, he didn't land right, and he fell on top of me. So at that point we switched, and my daughter got on him and just went to a different spot. So instead of trying to cross where everybody else crossed, she went and she found a different spot to cross that he was completely happy to cross there. And after that, he never fought to go past water or to cross water again. So if you get to a spot that your donkey is just like, absolutely not, I'm not crossing here, it's okay, guys. We're trying to create yes donkeys. Go ahead and find a spot that they're willing to cross, and then later on you can add in the harder spots to cross after you've built up their confidence. So don't try to force them. Go ahead and find something that they're willing to do and build up to the scary things. That's gonna help you be successful with your donkeys. All right, we brought them to the Ridge Riders Club to ride them. But before we start riding, we just wanna make some yes donkeys. So you see I got Grace in this contraption. It was too scary the first time we brought her here. So we'll just see. Now she's stepping in it pretty willingly. There, good girl. Good girl. There, good. Let's get her straight. Now she's straight. You see how she's calmly coming? She's getting oats for rewards for doing this. Come a little bit further there, girl. There, good. You're all the way in. Good girl. Saddle that I bought for the donkey.
Start over.
So this is Seamus' saddle that I bought for a mule. And I just threw it on her back. And it still rocks some. Put your head up. It still rocks some, but not as much. And I want to show the reason why. So, of course right now. So what I want to show here, this is her wither. And do you see how it goes down? She actually has a wither. Most donkeys don't have a wither. Most donkeys are flat, completely flat across the back. And here's an example of that on Grace. Her back is just flat as could be. So now if I put this saddle back on, and this is a donkey and mule saddle. Okay. It doesn't rock. Okay. So that's part of how we know that it's a good fit. And Dan and I have gone to a saddle maker and got a saddle, and you get up on top of it and it feels like a teeter-totter. So you can imagine how on a teeter-totter it goes back and forth, and look at when I go back and forth it doesn't move. That's a big deal. Okay, we want this to be sturdy. Imagine hiking in a good hiking boot, and imagine hiking in a high heel. Okay, we want it to be sturdy so that it's not going to move around on our animal. So that's saddle and the gear I use. Saddle, breast collar to keep the saddle from sliding back, the britchin that keeps it from sliding forward, because donkeys' backs are flat, that saddle can go back and forth, and then I use a bridle. And again, I'll put links in for the bridle that I use, or the bit, the snaffle bit, and the curb strap or chin strap. And I'll put information for REED VEIT also, who I am getting a custom saddle made from. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found this helpful.
Rolling.
It's nice. Yeah. Okay, so this is a cheap saddle that I bought online. And I bought it for a mule, and ironically I can use it for the white donkey Seamus. But what I want to show you guys with this one is how it rocks. Do you see how it rocks? Now what that means is that the bars that are down here, they're not sitting on her properly, and that's going to cause sore spots. Now I do use it on Seamus, but that's a special deal because he is so darn fat. That's how he was when I bought him. But I wouldn't put a horse saddle on a donkey because this rocking is going to make him uncomfortable. I wonder if I should put on the other saddle and show without a pad.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Want me to stop it or keep rolling?
Go ahead and stop it.